Aussie Bonsai Bloke. Here you go. I hope you guys can see me in between all these trees. Got this sign up here. Excuse me. I'm having a bit of a Greg's ton at the Adelaide Bonsai Show. He gave me a ton beer. Well, a carton of ton beer, a full slab. So here we are having a full, well, I'm not having a full slab of ton right now, but I'm having a ton. So cheers, Greg. Anyway, today's video, I'm just going to trim up these two trees. So spring growth, we've got the plum tree on your right, my left, and the hawthorn on my right, your left. So the hawthorn's in full flower, absolutely beautiful at the moment. It'll probably get into more flower, and if it does, because there's a lot more buds here not open yet, and if it does, I'll probably do a bit of an update on the flowering of that one. In the meantime, I'll show you the apple tree in full flower. Could be a bit of wind noise because it was outside and it's windy, but the wind pretty well hasn't shut up for days, so I thought I have to do it now while the buds are still good. So let's have a look at the apple tree now. Okay guys, sorry for the wind noise if you got some, but this is about the best the apples looked, and it doesn't stop bloody blowing here. We just keep getting more and more wind. So let's show you this apple. Absolutely beautiful, full bloom, look at that. Bees are cruising around on there. Look at that. Flowers everywhere, absolutely beautiful. I'll stand back a bit, look at that. Absolutely stunning. All the flowers, so cool. Alright, that's it for the apple. Hopefully we'll get a few apples off this old girl. See what happens. But really loving it. Just really loving it. Okay, so you guys have seen the apple tree, pretty cool. So many flowers on it. It won't keep all those apples. It'll shed a lot of the apples, but you know, we might get 5 or 6 good apples. Let's see what happens. So today, let's work on these two trees. Basically, I want to trim the hawthorn more so that the silhouette of the whole tree is in line with the flowers, because when it's in full flower and it's looking really good, I really want to get a good photo. It's going to be hard to see the flowers now because I changed the colour of the background to white, and the problem with that is white flowers, background white, you know, blends in. So that's where a black background was actually better for some certain things. Spring growth, nice and green with white flowers, really popped on the black background. But when things have lost all their leaf and it was just sticks, the white background's better. So it's a compromise, you know. I mean, I could paint it I could paint it black for my summer and then paint it white again in winter. But you know, that's too much painting for me. So basically, what are we going to do? We're going to trim both trees back. I'll talk about both trees, hawthorn and the plum. And the plum is the devil's plum. So we'll get on to that one. Basically, this devil's plum, I'm going to pretty well just hedge prune it, a bit like Walter Paul does. Not worried too much about its branch structure. But one thing I will say is the top of this tree is growing super strong and super vigorous, super fast. The bottom branching on this tree has taken a while to bud out because the top overtook it, and to remedy that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the top back hard, leave the shoots at the bottom, and I'm not going to cut them back at all. And then next time I trim it in probably another month, when it's in full growth again, then I'll trim the whole tree. So today I'm just going to trim basically the top of the tree, try and work out, you know, where branching comes from. So let's do it. Let's just basically, I'm just going to go along and just chop branches off the top of this tree, and then it'll, you know, redivide out wherever it feels fit. But this is pretty well the hedge pruning method. And then with this hedge pruning method, then what happens is you come back in winter when it's dormant, and then you do the final little shoot selection. So this creates good ramification, good divisions in branches, and really strong growth. So there's actually a couple branches here at the top which come from a side branch here that's actually quite weak, so I'll be leaving them too. So basically what happens, you do this hedge pruning method. You go, trim around the whole thing. The weaker interior ones we're going to leave alone, and just trim back these stronger top branches. And now the bottom will catch up to the top, because the top's been cut back, so to put more energy through to the bottom of the tree because they haven't been cut. And then next time I'll probably cut the bottom as well, but it will depend on how the bottom's going, you know. Like if I cut the top like this, and then the top overtakes the bottom again, and the bottom still looks weak, like it sort of does now, then I'll be, you know, leaving the bottom even next time. We'll get rid of these buds at the bottom. We'll get rid of some of the interior branching that we don't need in the V's of the branches where you've got them coming out from. And we're going to leave this long growth here. Let's have a look here. So that comes from there. This one can be cut back. The rest comes from some weakish branches. This is the bottom branch, we'll leave that. Right. So I'm pretty happy with that. But, you know, we've cut it back. Decently hard. And that'll create good ramification on the top. And then what we'll do also is we'll just come along to the front here. The front, and we'll just, you know, trim a few divisions of pads and stuff just from the leaves and stuff, just so that we can create a bit of structure, a few branch divisions, and that'll let more light in and hopefully create a bit more interest in the future. So you can hopefully see that. So there's going to be some areas where I cut in harder to create sort of pads within the silhouette, or at least differences in the silhouette. So rather than one big full silhouette, you'll get some cutting in and that sort of thing happening. Yeah, because you don't want it all exactly the same. You do want to see some branch structure in there. And like I say, if you're cutting the top back pretty hard like that and creating some structure, another thing that's happening is because you're cutting it right in there, you're creating more light to get into these bottom branches. So, you know, even in this top, you can hack in there a little bit. Some of these crossing branches, just hack in there to let more light in. If you really want, you can probably, you know, pick a few leaves off in the middle here It's not going to hurt it at all, and what it's going to do is allow more light through to the bottom, so you can even pull some leaves off through these thick areas, and then the bottom areas are going to get more light. But just be careful, because there is a few thorns on a prunus. I'm not going to like defoliate the whole thing, but just thinning it out just that bit so that we can get more and more light through to the bottom. Because the last thing that we want is these bottom branches to get weak and die off, because the bottom branches, you know, have to actually be thicker and stronger than the top branches for it to be a believable tree. So, you know, here we are, just thinning out the top a little bit, not defoliating the whole thing, just thinning out the top, cutting in, just to create some interest in the top, and then the bottom will be allowed to grow. So hope you guys can sort of see in there now. And I'll just pick some leaves off the top, or I might even get the air compressor out later and just, you know, blow the leaves off so we can have a good look at the tree after. But everything else, that one can stay. This one's stone. These are the bottom weaker. This is a weaker branch back here. So I'm going to leave all that on. Leave this one on because that's a weaker sort of branch, which almost looked like it wanted to die, but it's just come back. And then let's just defoliate a little bit, but not crazy. Just rip off a few leaves. And that's going to allow some good light in the middle and allow it down to the bottom. Right, done with that one. We'll get the air compressor to clean it off in a minute. But let's go back to this one now. So this one here, because I want it to look nice in a silhouette and I want to show off the flowers, I'm probably going to individually chop most of these long branches. So let's go back and just chop long branches so that we can see the flowers basically on the outside of the tree rather than being, you know, stuck in the middle. So I'm just going to chop them back pretty roughly. Going to chop them back quite rough. Not going to go too crazy on worrying exactly where they come from. But basically, when this is in full flower and we take the photo of it in full flower looking nice, because this year's probably the best, I'd say nearly the best this tree's looked in full flower ever. It's really put on a great year in flower. So when I take a photo of it, I want the flowers to be almost, if not further than the outside of the green of the tree, at least at a similar sort of length. I don't want these big green shoots to be hanging out past sort of flowering area. I feel like this tree could probably wait another 3 or 4 warm days before I really take a good photo of it, because there's still a lot of buds in here that haven't opened up yet. Even though some of the original ones that opened up are actually already starting to drop their petals. In general, most of the flowers on this tree, or at least half, haven't even opened up yet, and you can already see now, just from cutting it back like I am now, it's making the flowers stand out more. I wish I didn't have a white background, and I wish I had the black background, because that would actually make it really stand out. But when I take the actual, you know, nice photo of this tree, it's going to be, you know, maybe even outside, and I'll just, you know, have the background blurred, and then you can just see the tree outside in natural light. So it's probably going to be the plan for this. But anyway, we'll cut it back now pretty well to a point where it's going to show off the flowers and not the branching, which is where we want this tree to be this time of year when it's putting out the flowers. So this hawthorn is so healthy this year. If you've been following my channel for a while, you would have heard that this hawthorn had a shocking last couple of years, really bad. It got heat stressed and just hasn't grown well at all. And what I've done this last year is just protected it in the shade. It's had morning sun and afternoon sun, but it's been protected in the middle of the heat of the day and been watered better, more consistently, because I've now got a better setup with automatic watering. And as you can see, the health of the tree is just going crazy. Another thing too, the base of this tree is actually pretty good under here. So maybe when I go to take the photo, I'm going to take this moss off, but I don't know, it's going to be a hard one because normally I like to just spray the moss off with vinegar and then show the roots. If I want to show the moss, the tree and the roots without this moss, I'm going to have to actually pull it off, but I'm worried that when I do, the bark's going to come with it, because the bark on these trees is quite flaky, as you can see by here, and I don't want to just rip all the bark off. But then again, it's coming off not bad. Actually, no, here we go. The moss is coming off pretty good. And it's leaving some good barking. So I'm going to get to doing that and hopefully be able to show you guys the base of this tree. Oh, here we go. It's coming out already. So the base of the tree is actually really cool on this. Getting there? We are getting there. Actually got some really cool roots down low. Put a bit of moss in between the roots, and that'll do for now. And let's just wait till it gets into full flower and take some, new photos of it. But for now, I'm pretty happy with how it's going. So let's do a quick spin of both trees, and then that's it for the video. So let's go and get the turntable from Adrian Eggleton and do a quick spin. Okay guys, quick spin of this one. Absolutely beautiful in its flowers. Hawthorn. Haven't had any red berries from it yet. I've had one actually. One only berry. Lonely berry last year. So it must be starting to really mature. Bring you guys in on a close-up. Would love to play a bit of music, but unfortunately copyright's taking care of that every time. Wow, look at all those flowers this year. Absolutely stunning. Full flower. Roots are pretty nice too, good spread. Hope you guys can see that. Pretty good structure up there. And wicked flowers. Pretty cool. Right, let's get on to the plum and have a look at the plum. Okay guys, quick spin of the plum. Beautiful tree, starting to ramify pretty well. 8 years old from a seedling basically. So this whole thing's probably just under 10 years old from a seed. So just to show what you can achieve in less than 10 years from a seed. So you know, growing from a seed is quite possible in most people's lifetime. I'll bring you guys in a bit closer on the trunk. Bit of dead wood there. You can see these bottom branches now, the longer growth left on them to let them strengthen up. Same with this one over here, bottom growth has been left on. Just to allow them to strengthen up a bit. Okay, this one here almost looked like it was going to die, but it does have a shoot there, and I've left them on so that they can strengthen it up, because it is a key back branch or front or side branch type thing. Okay, look at that moss on it. This is in the new pot. Absolutely beautiful. Wow. And here's the back of the tree, all carved out. You can see from the sort of semi-defoliation, but only slightly. Now a lot more light can get into these bottom branches. Really cool. Cheers for watching, guys. Please like, share, subscribe. Tell your mates about the channel. Really appreciate your comments. And have fun with your bonsai. Try and keep them healthy. Really happy this year. Everything's looking so good. Love spring. Cheers. Catch you next time, guys. Cheers.